Hi, everybody. It's Deirdre Fay, and I am thrilled to be here with Kate Lucre, who I got to know through the compassion-focused therapy world. And I've been to her presentations and workshops. And then recently, she told me that she and Neil Clapton, another very cool person, wrote an article about this piece of work that they're doing on a compassionate kit bag, because they do a lot of groups. And I thought, wow, I want to know more. And then I wanted to share it with you. So Kate is here. We've been able to find this time. I'm thrilled. So tell us more, Kate.
Okay. Thank you, Deirdre. Yes, it is. It's a huge honor to be here talking to you. I kind of want to sink into that little chair over there behind you. But yes, so my work has been with people whose ruptures in their attachment system have meant that actually engaging in therapy is really tricky. Mm. And I think particularly there's something about these folk find it really difficult to be in groups, to be with others, to be in a room with other minds. But actually, I think there's so much work out there that supports the idea that this is often exactly what these folk need. So I've been working for a number of years thinking about how do we make compassion accessible, or how do we make it doable?
Right.
And I think one of the things that has occurred to me was that even the word compassion, it really triggers people's threat system. So we wanted to find playful, creative. A lot of my patients talk about this idea that we might be doing something by stealth, because we're bringing compassion, but it's wrapped up in something else. And the idea of the compassionate kit bag, I mean, this isn't new, right? We have people talk about self-soothe kits and tool kits, but the kit bag was kind of a slightly different spin on it. I'm a rock climber and a mountaineer, and the kit bag is what you take with you on your journey. So you put everything in it that you need to nourish you on your journey, and you bang it on your back and off you go. And that feels like this is what we're trying to do, that compassion is a journey. That maybe people start when they start in therapy, or we as human beings, we come across this idea, and it continues through the course of your life. You don't summit, you don't finish, it carries on. So you'll need things to nourish you on your journey. And some things you might need to nourish you are really tangible, really physical things, and some things you carry in your mind. And my experience, for my personal experience, as well as my experience with my patients, is that I could have an idea of a compassionate kit bag, but if there wasn't something solid, tangible, an aid memoir,
right,
I'm going to leave my therapy, I'm going to go home, I'm going to forget all about what's been said or what I might need. So the kit bag is an idea that it's an actual bag or a box, a place where you keep tangible representations of the work that you're doing.
Kate, this is so dynamite, because I totally agree and understand. I think years ago in the Becoming Safe Embodied Skills, I had people do like a little tin bar, like an Altoids tin, and just put little things, even words in there. Because when we're freaked out or overwhelmed, we lose our way. We don't really do it. And what I like that you're doing is you're making things really tactile, so that it communicates at a different level of mind rather than just in a cognitive prefrontal way. And that allows all that sensation to come through. I remember I had a client years ago, highly dissociative client, and she carried around in her backpack all the time this tattered blanket that she'd have, and she hated to wash it because the smell was so important to her and everything. And it was literally, when she pulled it out of the bag one day, it was falling apart. But that was so meaningful to her, and it's exactly what you're talking about here.
Absolutely. And I think, Deirdre, we're talking about transitional objects, aren't we?
Right.
And I think for certainly so many of the people that I see, they might have one, maybe if they're fortunate, but many of the people I see don't have one. They don't have a transitional object, either internally or externally.
A positive one. They have a lot of negative, or I don't want to call it self-destructive, but not the positive ones that we're trying to engender.
No. So it's something, yeah, exactly as you're saying. I think that so much of the work that we're doing with the kit bag is also about helping people to begin to develop an array of transitional objects that represent the therapist when they're not there, but also to represent the idea of compassion when it's too hard to take. Almost physically, people have this idea, I can't take it in.
Mm-hmm.
So I might give them, I've got my stuff here, so I might say, well, here, look, have this.
Right.
This is your compassionate wisdom. This little pebble here, and I like shiny ones, so I take that with you. And some people will say, no, I can't. Okay, well, I'll keep it, but it's your compassionate wisdom. And then when they're ready, they'll take it, and it becomes a transitional object. It's been held by me. It's a gift from me. Sometimes it comes from the group. The group will give each other gifts. And then the person takes it away and it becomes part of their compassionate kit bag.
Mm.
And over time, our hope is as we work in the process with gently exposing people to the flow of compassion to self, the flow of compassion to others, and the flow of receiving compassion from others, this little pebble of compassionate wisdom becomes internalized.
Mm. Mm.
They may not need it anymore, but it stays.
Mm-hmm.
Someone said to me recently, I opened my compassionate kit bag. I hadn't opened it for ages and realized that so much of it is in me. So it's still out there, but it's within me.
Mm. So
I think that the idea of we give gifts to the group, and we also invite the group to bring. So, they might have something like, if you're thinking about your patient with her tattered blanket, I would invite her to bring that to the group and share it with the group. And if she could tolerate it, sometimes people can't, I would invite her to pass that around, and each group member could hold it.
Right.
Whatever it is, teddy bears, a scent, a smell, an object, a picture. And so then it's imbibed with the group compassionate mind.
Right. That's so beautiful. We did that in the when I did live groups. I did that with a belongingness. I had them do like, what helps you feel like you belong to the world, in a positive way, and have people bring in representations. But you're talking about something even, I think, better in some ways, is to have a whole array of things that you carry, not just things that are coming from you, but that you begin to collect around you that represent compassion or kindness or goodness. And it's almost like then you become your own meaning-making machine.
Absolutely, yes. And I think there's something for me really, really important about that. It's not a distraction. It's not an avoidance. It's not a mechanism to go to your happy place.
Right.
It's actually a means helping people to develop the capacity to then use these, like, I love that idea about a meaning-making machine. Use these objects, this representation, my compassionate wisdom, to then turn back to the suffering. So we're right back into the meaning of compassion, to be aware of and sensitive to suffering, ours and other people's, and then be motivated to do something about it. And for me, the compassionate kit bag is working absolutely on both psychologies of compassion, and gently stretching people's capacity. So, for example, when people finish our therapy program, we have a gift giving ceremony, and everybody has a little compassion postcard, actually on a little bit like this. My daughter has written a message on the back of this about compassion and what it means. So that's why it's in my compassionate kit bag. And everyone who is in the group will write a message to the person that's leaving. And the person that's leaving will leave a gift of a message behind, and we have a book where that's held. So they stay forever in the mind of the group.
Yes, that's beautiful. What's amazing to me is how there's a similarity between all these traditions and pathways. It's really because I did the same thing in the Becoming Safely Embodied Skills. At the end, they write something and draw something for each other, but it's about internalizing it, taking something and really having something tangible. And that's what you're so good at providing, Kate, and just exploring that. How do you have that inside yourself?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And really changing that in a very tactile way about, because most people feel something bad is, the world is bad, they're bad. And so how do you literally start structuring change outside so that then you internalize it inside? So that's fantastic.
One of my patients said years ago, he had been a builder, and he said, I get this. He said, you got to put up scaffolding before you start messing with the brickwork. I'm like, yes, that's exactly it. I think the other really important thing for me about the compassionate kit bag is that this is not just a self-soothe kit. So we are also working on courage stimulating. So
courage stimulating?
Exactly, stimulating your social mentalities around being able to take ownership, because as you know very well, Deirdre, with your work, that actually therapy is terrifying, and it takes huge courage for our patients to actually come to therapy, get to the room. So it's not just soothing. So in your kit bag, you might have things that really stimulate what I would call your blue system, so your drive system, that enable you to feel courageous and strong and own your own journey. So it's not just slowing down, it's not just ventral, vagal, connectedness, parasympathetic nervous system. This is also dopamine up, drive system. How I'm going to do this. What helps you to fit? And again, because we want to stimulate people's motivational system towards giving and receiving compassion.
That is such a powerful piece that you're bringing in, and that Paul certainly talks about, is how do we have all those different flows of compassion? It's not just about calming ourselves, but being part of the world I don't want to say the word productive because that sounds like in a different way, but about sharing ourselves, contributing ourselves, and people really, the value that they find when they can contribute and be more fully alive and valued by others is powerful.
Yeah. And I'm sure you find this in your groups, Deirdre, that we run a rolling program. So actually everybody gets the opportunity to be a senior group member. And I've taken some of these ideas from the therapeutic community, research and literature, and I was fortunate enough to work in one many years ago. So everyone becomes a senior group member, and we've had really incredibly moving experiences of people being in group really struggling, and a new person joins and somewhere they find the courage, and it really brings people to life because they see that person who's really struggling, terrified, coming to group for first time. Everybody else knows each other. I know nobody. I'm outside, they're inside. And to be able to find it within themselves, say, I remember I was like you. I can see your fear. I can see your uncertainty. And I was there. And so this incredibly powerful process of being able to own your authority, but also to be able to help others.
It's nice. You had asked me to bring objects of mine. So, this is a really big object, but I'll tell you about it.
Yes, do.
This was when I gave a talk in South Africa, this was probably, I don't know how many years ago, 30 years ago or something. I was in the back of this, looking around in the store, and then way in the corner in the dust, it was like hidden away, there was no light. I saw this powerful woman here surrounded by safekeeping. And then in the back, I love Tao, in the back there's somebody there guarding her back.
Yes, that's beautiful.
Oh my God. And I thought, this is what I so wanted. I wanted to feel like I never had that growing up, that somebody had my back. And here is like, not only have your back, but be surrounded by care and comfort. Reminded me of Thich Nhat Hanh, when as he would be traveling, he wanted to always travel with people who would, his community, because he said, you need a community to hold your mindfulness in place. And I thought, having felt, in my own healing journey that I was always alone, that to see this is like, oh, this was a symbol of like what's possible, that that this powerful woman could have community around her. And anyway, so she's my gal. That's my little family there.
Thank you so much for sharing that, because it makes me think of, so often in our group talk about themselves as a tribe. And this incredible woman has a tribe around her.
Right.
Now, what I'd like to do, with your permission, Deirdre, is we talk a lot about our kit bag. And of course, we've been talking about the incredible power of smell and touch and imagery and, tactile. But this is a way that we can bring this to life. So with your permission, what I'd like to invite you to do is I'm going to do a very short, really playful exercise with you. And what I'd like to invite you to do, Deirdre, is for a couple of minutes just to be her.
Wow. Okay.
Okay. Now we can stop, because sometimes this stuff, I mean, when I talk about stealth, this is absolutely stealth. We're getting in underneath, kind of the defensive stuff. So if you want to stop, or you're like, okay, that's enough, you can give me the stop sign and we can stop that. Is that okay?
You're so great, Kate. Thank you.
Okay. So how heavy is she? Is she okay to hold?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So what I'd like you to do, so what is to hold her, and what we're going to do is we're going to stand up just for a moment and then sit down again. So we're just shifting roles. So when you stand up, when you sit down again, you're going to be her. Okay. So if you sit down, welcome. Now, Deirdre has just been telling us a little bit about you, and I'm really excited to meet you. So she's just been telling us all a little bit about how she found you. And I wondered, first of all, do you have a name?
No, I haven't considered ever having a name.
Okay. Is that something you want to consider now, or is that just we'll maybe let that slide? What?
It's an interesting thought. I'll let percolate. I don't have a ready answer there.
Okay. Well, can I call you Deirdre's gal?
You sure can.
Okay, because that's kind of how she described you. Is that okay?
Perfect.
So I've invited you here. Deirdre brought you here, but I've invited you here because we just wanted to know a little bit more about you and a little bit more about what you mean to Deirdre. So I'm just going to ask you a few questions, if that's okay.
Sure.
So how long have you been in Deirdre's life? How long have you been Deirdre's gal?
Since she found me in the back of the store in, that must have been maybe 1995, 96.
Wow. So you've been around for a good long time.
Yes.
Over 20 years.
Right.
And where do you live? Where do you live in Deirdre's home?
In a very prominent position.
Great. So I'm presuming then that you probably see quite a lot.
I see everything.
You see everything. Wow. You see, now I'm really curious. So do you know how Deirdre feels about you?
Yes, I do.
What is that? How is that?
That I give her the courage and the permission to be strong, to know that she's surrounded by people who will support her and hold her back, and not hold her back, but have her back.
Yeah. Wow. So you absolutely know that this is, so when Deirdre looks at you, that's what happens in her mind. She absolutely knows that people have her back. So you remind her not just of how you feel about her, but also how other people in her life feel about her.
Right. Everybody who sees me recognizes the relationship.
Fantastic. You are so important.
Yes, absolutely.
And I'm wondering, how do you feel about Deirdre?
I think she's the cat's meow. She's the one.
She's the one. She's the cat's meow. Does she know that?
She's getting there. She's getting there.
So do you also remind her of that?
I remind her what's possible.
Okay. And I guess you might, because she's of course listening to all of this, so you might remind her even a little bit more after today.
Right. And imbue it in the energy.
Sorry, just a couple more things and then I'm going to let you go, because I think we're probably on a bit of a clock. So just a couple more things. I was wondering, are there particular times when Deirdre turns to you?
Not Not obvious ways, but in my being the representation of what's possible, yes, all the time.
Yeah. So she turns to you all the time, and there might be particular times when actually your role really absolutely comes into force.
Yes.
Fantastic. Okay. One more thing, and then I promise I'll let you go. I wonder if you have a message for Deirdre.
That's something that's really between the two of us.
Fantastic. But she knows it and you know it.
And it's my job to make it more clear to her.
Fantastic. So that's yours. So you've got a bit of a vision for what you need to do going forward.
Yes.
And if you've got ideas about how Deirdre could best go forward, you don't need to say them, but do you have ideas about that?
I think that it's about her turning into her heart and letting her heart guide her even stronger. And we're just here to help show the way.
Fantastic. So you can remind her about the huge, incredible wealth of compassionate wisdom that Deirdre has.
Yes.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Deirdre's gal. It's been really lovely to meet you. Just before you go, is there anything else that pops into your head that you wanna share with us before we let you go and have a little sit down with your tribe?
Thank you for giving me the opportunity of being seen.
It's my pleasure. It's been lovely to see you. Okay, take care. See you later. I'm going to ask you to stand up now, and then maybe put down your gal, and you're back being Deirdre again.
Yes, I am. Thank you, girl. Well, that was fantastic, Kate. It really, it's like doing compassionate chair work. It brought up some interesting places inside of me that I hadn't really, it was like this is such a subliminal long-term connection that I hadn't made that translation to my cognitive self. It's just held in my emotional body. So thank you so much.
Yeah. This exercise is all about bypassing. That's why I said we have to be very cautious, but we're going in by stealth, just to help make those connections, the flows from, the kind of, we're stimulating that caregiving and care receiving mentality. So you
fantastic, right?
Yeah.
So powerful. So I really encourage all of you to find ways and find things around you that you can populate in your world, that Kate has been suggesting, so that you can have a full and rich assortment, just like I do, that you can have that in your world and remind you of where you want to go. And remember what Kate said, that's so powerful, about the many different flows of compassion. Can you repeat that, Kate?
Yeah. So what we're doing with our kit bag and in this work is that we're stimulating developing all three flows. So there is the flow of compassion from me to you and to others. And that's important. But actually sometimes that flow gets overdeveloped. It's like maybe a waterfall. But actually the really important thing is also to develop and be open to receiving compassion from others. So I'm doing that today. I'm being very open to receiving compassion from you, Deirdre, in this little talk we're having. But then equally important is the flow of compassion to myself. Mm-hmm. And some of us, that might be a bit more of a trickle. Mm-hmm. But we're working on balance. We don't want to sacrifice one for another, but we want balance. And this work, using imagery, using sensory, we didn't really talk about touch, but touch being so important, particularly for the group of people that we're talking about, but actually for all of us. Smell.
Oh, that's for sure.
I've got my little candle here. This is my cinnamon Christmas candle. And as I smell it, I can feel it. I can feel the kind of what's happening to my physiology just from that smell.
It's great. Well, Kate, thank you. And I will post ways for people to be in touch with you. And also when the article is really finally published, ways for people to access.
Please do, if you're out there.
We want people to learn, grow, and develop and flourish. So access Kate as much as you can, and you can see what a dynamo she is. And so glad to be with you, Kate.
Thank you so much, Deirdre.